Hey, what's up, guys? It's Larry, the mortgage guy, your mortgage insider, and certified veteran mortgage advisor. I wanted to thank you for being here and attending this class. Today, we're going to cover uh, VA loan basics. And just so you know, if you are following me and subscribe to my calls, I'm going to go ahead and combine my first time home buyer class, I call it Home Buyer Secret, and my veteran mortgage advisor classes on the same time slot. So next week, you will see my first time home buyer classes where I deep dive on first time home buyer basics, right? But today we're going to cover VA loan basics. So let's go ahead and get the presentation started. Serving those who served, right? And I actually have an introduction that I like to use before I actually get started. It's a pretty long introduction, so there's a chance that I may actually opt out on that one. But who knows? Maybe I'll go ahead and just try it out. What I like to do is I like to ask people who are watching this call, and I'm going to go ahead and post this real quick here in the comments. So this is how it's supposed to start. I go, does anyone here want to, or does anyone here on this call work with veterans on a very high level? Or does anyone here is currently working or trying to develop or trying to grow their market or their business regarding veterans or the VA loan? And I would ask that, and I would ask people to raise their hand or comment, whatever, right? And then I would go, does anybody here want to work with veterans? And of course, hopefully anyone who's on this call would say yes, right? And then I would say, could we all say it's fair that veterans deserve the best possible real estate experience based on the sacrifice they made for our country? And we owe it to them to give them that. Does anyone agree to that statement? Right? And of course, hopefully people answer and they say yes. And I go, that is awesome. Because what we're going to do today is I'm going to teach everybody in this call how to provide the best possible lending and buying experience that we can offer our people who are so deserving of this benefit. And over the next few minutes, we're going to share with you those techniques that I have tried, I have proven, I have been trained on, and I've learned through my years of experience in serving veterans at the highest possible level. So get comfortable and get your notepads out because we're going to deep dive into this, and we're not going to leave anybody behind. So please do me a favor. And someone is already saying yes, they're interested. So I thank you for that. I'm gonna go ahead and show that. Really appreciate you answering. But yes, please do me a favor and interrupt me anytime if you have a question, because I want to make sure everyone leaves this call with a deep understanding on what it is that we're committed to do. Okay. Basically, this call is for you guys, even though I have an agenda or I have a class or I have information I want to share with you guys. It's really a Q&A for you. So if you have any questions regarding the VA loan or home buying in general, please don't be shy. Stop me anytime and just ask the question. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of like the introduction that I want to give. Yeah, it says preparation is why we're here, right? So whenever a veteran, and I'm going to start with this because I think this is important. Whenever you're working with veterans, sometimes it's kind of an awkward conversation when you kind of give them a compliment or respect. Like you say, oh, thank you for your service or whatever. And a lot of veterans kind of some veterans are used to it, I guess, and they will automatically just say thank you for your support or whatever. But sometimes they feel uncomfortable, when you talk to them. So just tell them, if they're uncomfortable, just tell them, well, I'm a patriot, right? I support what the United States is doing, and the military is a big part of that, right? And of course, if someone were to ask me, are you a veteran yourself? I go, no, I'm not a veteran. I'm a patriot, right? And every single time I've answered using that answer, that reply, I've always received a positive response from that. Okay, so just a little tip when you're working with veterans. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get deep into this now. Uh, Veteran Mortgage Advisor is a certification that I received. I took extra training and classes in order to learn this. So this is information that, of course, combined with whatever I experienced, what I've also been trained. Okay, so a lot of this information is new information to me as well, and I haven't been a chance to employ. But if I talk about something and I have employed, I might give you like a sort of anecdote or scenario, right? Again, I'm Larry Lee, VMA. You can reach me at larrylee@openmortgage.com or 832-616-2193. Okay. All right, a quick bio. I'm a certified veteran mortgage advisor at the Larry team at Open Mortgage. In fact, I am the first official um, certified veteran mortgage advisor because I had to get them to approve this certification as part of their process because they allow me to add the designation VMA behind my name, right? I was the first person to do that. So definitely I'm the only person in Open Mortgage that has a certified veteran mortgage advisor. So I like to claim that I'm the first and only so far, right? I've been licensed loan officer since 2016. The funny thing is, I was talking about this situation with someone about my wife, how long she's been in the business. I go, she's been in the business for a couple of years, and she's like, it's been like 5 years. I'm like, holy shit. So I was like, okay, if she's been in for 5 years, that means I've been in it for longer. So yeah, I did the math, and it's been 6 years, which is crazy, right? I mean, I guess does that make me senior loan officer now? I don't even know. I still consider myself just a regular loan officer. I have a side hustle as a social media marketing coach and running my own ad agency, Robots LLC. And the reason I bring that up is because I like to use those that experience and those resources to promote the VA loan and promote the support for helping veterans, right? So I'm kind of marrying the two, my two passions, right? I'm licensed in 11 states. Actually, it's 10 now because I decided to not get renewed in New Hampshire, so I need to change that. But it's Arizona, California, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. And my branch is actually licensed in many states. So if I'm not licensed in it, but there's a state that you want help for a veteran, my branch is licensed in multiple states, so we might still be able to help you with the same team. Okay, and my NMLS is 1440741. Okay, um, again, my mission is I love the mortgage business, but I was fed up with the lack of education and information clients were provided during the application process. So I created a first-time home buyer coaching class for mortgage clients that provides instant access to provide answers to questions and simple explanations on how to qualify. I also provide one-on-one coaching for those who want it. So basically, what I'm saying is I'm creating content and information for people to find on demand. They don't have to interact with me. They don't have to talk to a loan officer. They can find it online, right? But if you do want one-on-one coaching, you can't hide from me. You actually have to volunteer because there's no way I can coach you. I guess we can do it privately. I don't know, but there's no way I can really coach you on what to do on your mortgage process without actually know who you are and what you're working with, right? Unlike other loan officers, I made it my passion to coach first-time home buyers on the mortgage process, and that makes all the difference of how I have helped hundreds of people get on the right track, right path to home ownership, with many of them become homeowners, right? And you remind me of many of my smart, successful, and savvy clients who are now homeowners because you are taking the right step on the home purchase process by educating yourself and being prepared like they did. The home buying process is very confusing to most people, but that is why I am here to simplify the process and make sure you're 100% prepared in the home buying process and to become ahead of the competition in this insane market. For example, I can help you get fully underwritten with a TBD or 2BD term pre-approval, where you basically can make an offer with your loan commitment already there. Basically, it's as good as cash, right? So basically, we would underwrite you before you even get a house, before you even get a contract. Okay. Again, this is my certificate that I got. I'm very proud of it. It's like the only time I actually get to show it off. But yeah, I'm again a certified veteran mortgage advisor. All right, real quickly, my why, my family, my wife and kids, of course, specifically Bruce and Hunter, because Bruce and Hunter are both on the spectrum for autism. So my goal is to develop enough resources to be able to provide them ABA therapy, which is not cheap. If it was cheap, I'd already be providing it for them, right? So that's my goal for 2022, right? Also, my other why is veterans, and this is the main reason why. My father was living in Da Nang, Vietnam during the fall of Saigon, and my mother was living in Saigon. My father left by helicopter, my mom by boat. It was U.S. soldiers who helped them get into the helicopter and on the boat. And they met in Hong Kong, China, at a refugee camp. If it wasn't for U.S. soldiers, my parents may not have survived, met, and had me. So I wouldn't have what I have today. I wouldn't exist. So basically, I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the U.S. military, and therefore my children wouldn't be alive. It wasn't for the U.S. military. So those U.S. soldiers are veterans now. So thank you, vets. I owe you my life. And this is the reason why I'm so passionate about helping veterans with the home buying process. Okay, so what is the VA home loan? The VA home loan is a mortgage guaranteed by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs and is issued by a private lender, such as a bank, credit union, or mortgage company like myself. Now, the reason why I bring this up because a lot of people think it's the VA that's providing the money, and that's not the case. It's actually lenders like myself who's providing the money for veterans to buy the homes. The VA is simply guaranteeing it. And what does that mean? Well, you know how there's a down payment for any kind of home purchase. Well, the reason why there's no down payment for VA because the for VA loan because the VA is guaranteeing that down payment. Now they don't give it up front, so it's not like a down payment assistance or anything like that. But they're saying that if the loan were to default, then they will guarantee up to 25% of the entire loan amount. So basically, let's say it's $100,000 loan. So the person is buying a $100,000 house because it's zero down. If they were to default, the VA will go to the lender and say, "Okay, we owe you 25% for this veteran's loan because they defaulted. So here's $25,000." That's basically what it means by guaranteed by the VA loan. So hopefully that makes sense and kind of breaks down how the VA is involved. Okay. But before we kind of talk about the VA loan, we'll talk about the opportunity for veterans and why the VA loan is going to be probably one of the best, if not the best, loan product out there. Millennials and Gen Z pushed VA loans to records in 2021. Millennial and Gen Z veterans accounted for more than half of all VA purchases loans in record year for this historic benefit program, according to National Mortgage News. Gen Z in particular is starting to make its presence felt in the markets across the country. Non-veteran millennials struggle, whereas veteran millennials thrive. So let me repeat that: non-veteran millennials are struggling in the home buying process, whereas veteran millennials are thriving in the home buying process. Okay, and despite many non-military millennials having a tough time buying homes, often saddled with student debts and working to save for a down payment, millennial and Gen Z veterans accounted for half of all VA um, purchase loans in fiscal year 2020, according to the Chicago Tribune. So many millennials are stuck on the sidelines because they don't have great credit. They don't have the savings for down payment. They continue. Younger veterans and service members are really ahead of the curve when it comes to the home buying process compared with their civilian counterparts. Now, they talk about two things that are pretty important here. They say that they have millennials have, I guess, great credit. They don't have great credit, and they're struggling to get a down payment. Well, the VA sort of solves that. First of all, the VA doesn't have a credit requirement. I don't know if you knew that, but there really is no credit a limit for them. It's the lender that creates that limit, which is considered an overlay, right? But the VA themselves don't have a credit limit. Okay. So what does that mean? That means if someone has a score that is typically not doable, but everything else makes sense, the VA actually might approve it. Okay, that's kind of like what I'm saying. There's no score; they don't care about the score. Okay, um, and they, student loans is not an issue because anyone who's a veteran probably used the GI Bill to go to school, right? So they don't have debt like regular millennials would, right? So the VA loan kind of solves for that problem that a lot of millennials are having. Okay. VA loan outperformed all other loans in 2021. A lot of people don't realize this, but the VA loan is actually a very good loan, comparably speaking, to the conventional and FHA loans. Okay, today VA loans actually close at a higher rate than conventional mortgages. For all home purchases in June 2021, 70% of VA loans successfully closed, compared to 51% of all other mortgages. So basically, that's almost like a 20% difference of how much better the VA loan performs in terms of closing ratio, right? This is according to Ellie Mae, which is the company that runs Encompass, which is one of the biggest loan operating softwares out there. And they've been utilized more often as well. Data from the Department of Veterans shows that numbers of VA loans went up 8% year over year in 2021, marking the 10th consecutive year of growth. That means the VA loan is actually growing and increasing in usage, right? So it's becoming more and more people are becoming more aware of it, and it's being employed more, hopefully because of awareness, right? And more loan officers and real estate agents being educated about it and wanting to use it to help their veteran clients, right? VA loans are more flexible with buying power. Okay, this is one of my favorite reasons why I like using the VA loan. Okay, the VA loan typically has lower interest rates than conventional mortgages, which means more buying power, right? They allow for higher debt to income ratios, which again means more buying power. That means instead of being stuck at about 40%, you can go up to 50% ish, right? Maybe actually, I actually had one that went up to 70%, believe it or not. Okay. So yeah, that's one of my personal anecdotes. I actually closed a loan where the DTI was at 70%, which is like literally unheard of in any loan product, conventional FHA, USDA, and even the VA. But they happen to have a lot of residual income left over. A lot of their income was coming from benefits, right? So even though on paper they had a high DTI, they still qualified and closed. Okay, so they allow for higher debt to income ratios. Again, the VA doesn't care on certain things if it makes sense, and they have a lower credit, and they have allow for lower credit scores. Again, there really isn't a limit for the VA. It's the lenders that create that, right? And they don't require private mortgage insurance. If you can qualify for the VA loan, it's the best program out there. Okay. Opportunity is knocking. Okay, the military is the USA's largest employer with over 3.1 million employees worldwide. There's over 1.4 million VA loans originate in 2021. Right, veteran home ownership exceeds the national average by 20%. That means compared to civilians, there's a larger population percentage of the population of veterans owning. Okay, so basically, which niche is better, regular civilians or veterans, right? That's basically what I'm trying to put out there. Military personnel continues to be relocated every 2 to 5 years. That means career service members move numerous times. That means repeat purchase business for both the lender and the real estate agent. Okay, Texas has 1,435,787 veterans residents in 2021, and the number is climbing. And Texas also has 34 billion of VA purchases in 2021. And 28.2% of Texan veterans have a service-connected disability. The reason I'm talking about Texas is because that's where I'm at, right? But it's pretty consistent across the board, right? And the reason why the whole not service-connected disability is important because some states, like Texas, I think North Carolina is one of them as well, where veterans actually benefit gets tax benefits because of service connected disability. Okay, and they get some fees waived as well. Okay, veteran home ownership statistics. Now, this is the part that kind of scares me. Okay, only 24% of qualified veteran homeowners are currently using their VA home loan. Right, that means there's 76% of veteran homeowners that aren't using the VA loan. Okay, less than 5 years ago, only 12% of veterans using their VA loan benefits, but it was slowly growing through awareness because of internet savvy veterans. Basically, the point of that is out of all the veterans that qualify, only 12% of them are using the VA loan. That means there's 88% veterans out there who can qualify, but they're not using it, which doesn't make sense, right? There's a lot of opportunity there. 33% of veterans that have a mortgage indicate they did not know about the VA loan program. So that means 1/3 of veterans who bought a house didn't even know the VA loan existed, right? Like they didn't even think about it, right? They bought a house not knowing that as a veteran they had a VA loan option. Okay, and 46% of veterans reported that the lenders had not brought up the VA loan. So that's almost half. Again, these statistics scare me. Okay, almost half of all veterans who applied for a mortgage to buy a house. Okay, let me reword that. Out of all the veterans that applied for a mortgage to buy a house, almost half of them said that their lender did not even mention the VA loan. Why? Right? That makes no sense whatsoever. That means 46% of the loan officers like me doing loans are not mentioning that the VA loan exists to a veteran, right? It doesn't make sense. Okay. So when you're out there talking to clients, you should ask them if they or their spouse is a veteran, right? Now, I know it's an awkward question, but the reason why you're asking them because you want to know what loan option they might qualify for, and the VA loan is an option, right? So you ask them that. If they say no, then no problem. You just move on. But if they say yes, it's a game changer because let's say you're one of the people who mentioned the VA loan and they never heard of the VA loan. You're going to blow their mind when you tell them that it's something that they can qualify for with 0% down, right? You'll be like their hero. Okay. So it says three mandatory questions, but really you only need to ask the first one. If they say yes to it, then you can ask the next one, which is, are you entitled to disability from the VA, and do you have your certificate of eligibility yet? Right. And of course, I'll cover those questions as well if I have a client that's a veteran and it was referred to me by a real estate agent. Okay, but as an agent, you can ask those questions as well. Okay. The benefits of the VA home loan. Number one, it's 100% financing, which we've talked about, and the reason why it's 100% financing is because the VA is willing to guarantee it. Right. Let me kind of repeat what that means. What the VA is basically saying is that if you help this veteran buy this house with your money and they were to default, we will cover 25% of the loan amount. That's our down payment. So it's literally 25%. If you want to really break it down, it's a 25% down payment assistance program. That's basically what it is, right? They're basically saying we guarantee you, the lender, 25% down payment no matter what if they were to default on the loan. If they don't default on the loan, then of course you got all your money back, right? Because they're making payments, right? But if they do default, then you'll get at least 25% back. So that's your down payment, right? That's basically what that means. So it's still a down payment. It's just paid after the fact if it were to default. And it's just not being paid by the veteran, it's being paid by the VA, right? So the VA is vouching for them. There's no PMI, right? There's no primary mortgage insurance. There's no loan cap limit, right? This is the Blue Water Navy bill. Basically, it's a bill that said that the veteran can borrow as much as they want, right? As long as they qualify for it. Okay. Now there's certain things that needs to be considered, but the truth is there's no limit, and the rest of it can be bridged. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's say the county loan limit is 600,000. That's not the number, but I'm just throwing it out there, right? That means that veteran can buy a house for $600,000 and put no money down. Okay. Now let's pretend the house is $600,100. So 600,100, right? That means it's $100 above the loan limit, the county loan limit. So what would happen is the veteran would have to make a down payment for the remainder, which is $100. So they would have to bring 25%, which is $25. So basically, on a $600,100 house, they would have to bring $25 as a down payment. That's how that works. Okay, but there's no loan limit in what they're going to use. So you can get $1 million house if you wanted to. Of course, you have to bridge 25% of the remainder beyond the county loan limit, but they're basically saying the VA loan will be applicable in that scenario. Okay, and there's also lower interest rates, right? Which of course to me it's a no-brainer. Why would I want to use a different loan if I can get the VA loan as a veteran and get a lower interest rate, right? Again, no-brainer, right? How to qualify for a VA loan? Okay, veteran is eligible for a VA home loan if he or she served on active duty in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard after September 15, 1940. And I believe, I haven't updated, but I believe, what is it called? Space Force. Is it Space Force? Is also a part of that now, okay? And you have to be discharged under the conditions other than a dishonorable after either serving on active duty for a period of 90 days or more, any part which occurred during wartime, or serving on active duty for a period of 181 days or more during peacetime. Serving on active duty under Title 10 or Title 32 orders for a period of 9 days with at least 30 days of being consecutive, or served 6 good years in the National Guard or Reserves within 16 points and received an honorable discharge. Now, this is like really hairy details, so it's better if you're trying to figure out if someone qualifies as a non-loan officer, it's better to just refer them to your loan officers and let them figure that out for you. Okay, because it's going to be it's going to require reviewing of paperwork and such, right? But just so you know, in general, this is how you qualify. Okay, what is the COE or certificate of eligibility? This has been called the golden ticket, right? This is a document from the VA that confirms your eligibility for a VA home loan obtained through e-benefits or directly from the lender. Okay. Basically, it tells you what you are entitled to. It doesn't mean you qualify automatically. It just means what you're able to get in terms of amount where you would have to put anything down, right? So why is this important? Well, let's pretend a veteran already bought a house and it was $100,000 house and their eligibility was 100,000. That's not the right number, but I'm just using the number. Let's say they bought $100,000 house and the eligibility is 100,000. They're trying to buy a second house. They no longer have eligibility because they used it on the first house, right? That's why the COE is the golden ticket, because you don't know until you look at the COE. Now let's pretend that veteran is going to sell the $100,000 house, or they did sell the $100,000 house. Then they get to use it a second time, right? Because you'll look at the COE and you'll see the entitlement has been reinstated, right? And actually, you can mark it sold. If it shows that it's being used, you can actually mark it sold, and it'll actually spit out one that will give you the full entitlement as if the house is sold already. Okay. And the underwriter will accept that. Okay. Um, Other details that can affect it, let's say you have $400,000 in entitlement, or a house that you can buy, right? And you use 200,000 of that to buy a house. Can you buy a second house? Well, as long as it's under $200,000, the answer is yes. Again, I'm using very loose numbers. Okay, it all depends on the county loan limit. So yeah, you can actually buy two houses using the VA loan if you want to. Okay, so the COE again is the golden ticket, tells you everything. Okay, the documents you need to obtain a COE is you have to be active duty, service of statement or current orders, active duty veteran, a DD 214. National Guard is NGB 22 or NGB and NGB 23, and reservist, statement of service and point statement. Okay. Tier 2 entitlement. Okay, this is what I was kind of talking about earlier. Can I have more than one VA loan at a time? Yes, we will calculate the remaining entitlement based off of your COE and determine the max loan amount with zero down, right? Can the loan amount be higher than the maximum loan amount determined? And I talked about this as well. Yes, down payment will be required. What is the down payment? It's 25% of what's extra. Again, if the county loan limit is 600,000 and you're trying to buy a $600,100 house, you have an extra $100 on top of the county loan limit. You have to put a down payment for the $100, but only 25%, which is $25. So I know it sounds silly, but if you bought a $600,100 house, you need to put 25% down on the remaining extra, which is $100, which is $25. Yes, so the down payment would be $25 on that amount of house. Okay. Can I apply for a VA home loan after a foreclosure? Again, this is one of those things that you kind of have to look at all the details. First, you have to wait 2 years before a veteran can be eligible again. An entitlement from the home that was foreclosed will not be restored, meaning you can't use that anymore. Okay. Of course, there's extenuating circumstances for the foreclosure, depending on what's going on. But basically, you have to look at it as like a house that you haven't sold yet. So remember the example I used with the $200,000 house, and you have $400,000 in house that you can buy. You can buy a second house. Well, if you want to buy a $400,000 house, you have to sell that first $200,000 house in order to get the full entitlement back. When a foreclosure, you can't sell the house because you're foreclosed upon it, right? So it's almost like you still have that house, even though you don't have it anymore because it was foreclosed. On paper, you still used up $200,000 for that house. So now you're only allowed to use another $200,000 without having a down payment. That's kind of how it works. Again, it gets really hairy, and I actually have a class specifically about that. Probably about entitlement, right? That I'll link here if you're watching on YouTube, whatever, or in the description. Okay. And of course, if you have questions, you always reach out to me. The funding fee. The first time use is for a zero down is 2.3% of the loan amount. Okay. Example: if it's a $500,000 loan times 2.3%, it's going to be $11,500. Subsequent use, meaning if you use the VA loan a second time, or a third time, or a fourth time, right? Then the funding fee is 3.6%. Okay, so it's 2.3% the first time, it's 3.6% the second time. So again, the example, $500,000 loan, 3.6% is going to be $18,000 for the funding fee. Okay, now the funding fee is waived for service-connected disability of 10% or more, or Purple Heart recipient. Okay, so these are veterans who have, again, a service-connected disability of 10% or more, or they are a Purple Heart recipient. They do not have to pay for a funding fee. Okay. If a disability claim is filed prior to the loan closing and the claim is awarded at 10% or higher, the VA will refund the entire funding fee. So let's say you pay $11,500 for a $500,000 house, and you filed for benefits for disability, right? And then you got the claim awarded, then the $11,500 you'll actually get back. right? Which is kind of a cool little feature that the VA is providing you. Okay. Joint loans. So this one is one of the special loans that a lot of people don't know about. I'm actually embarrassed to say that I've actually turned people down not knowing about this loan. For example, let's see, a veteran who was once married is no longer married. Well, he's not officially divorced, but he's still married, but they're separated, whatever. But he has a girlfriend, right? He asked me if he could buy a loan using the VA loan and not involve his wife, right? Who he's trying to divorce or whatever, but they're not quite divorced yet. Or maybe he was divorced. I don't remember. But the point was he was trying to add his girlfriend, right? And I go, I'm sorry, you cannot add a girlfriend to the VA loan. That's not how it works. Like you have to be, you have to be married in order to add them, right? And I turned him down. And he was qualified on every other level, had the income, had the down payment if he needed it, job history, and I turned him down. Well, years later, I found out about the joint loan, and I realized that I turned him down incorrectly because I probably could have offered this loan to him and his girlfriend. Okay. So again, it's a loan other than a veteran and spouse, example, veteran and fiance or veteran and relative. It requires prior authorization from the regional loan center. What is the regional loan center? It's basically the VA loan's best friend. Okay. It's it's the people that you can submit scenarios or questions to, and whether they say yes or no, it basically becomes law, right? So let's say I ask a question, is this possible? Can you approve this? And they say yes. If the underwriter says no, I'm like, no, the RLC said yes. Here's the documentation, here's the email, here's the paperwork that they said yes to. Then the underwriter would have to accept it. That's basically what the regional loan center is, okay? There's a down payment required on the non-VA side, right? So I don't want to get too deep on this, but I want to sort of explain so you don't get left with questions. Let's say you're buying a $400,000 house, $400,000 house. Basically, what happens is the loan gets split in half, right? So you got a $200,000 loan and a $200,000 loan. For the VA, it's zero down. They don't put anything. For the non-borrowing spouse, they have to put down on 200,000. How much? Well, the VA guarantees 25%, right? So they have to put 25% of that much. So 25% of 200,000, which if I do the math right, it's like 5,000, 5,000 bucks. I don't know. I'm really bad. Actually, I'm sorry, not 5,000 bucks. It's probably $50,000 bucks. You know, I hate doing public math. Let me actually get the calculator and look at it real quick. Okay. So if they have a $200,000 house and they're putting down 25% of that, 50,000. Yeah, see, 5,000 didn't sound right because that would be 2.5%, not 25%. So yeah, in that case, you have the veteran putting zero down, but the non-veteran spouse putting 25% of the other half, which is 50,000 on a $400,000 house, right? But it's 25% of their part, which is 200,000. Okay. So if you do the math, it might make sense. It might not make sense. You might be like, well, why would I put $50,000 on a $400,000 house? That's over 10%, whereas I can go conventional with 5%, which is true. But let's say you're trying to qualify based on income. You're trying to add your spouse to qualify for income, or whatever, or maybe they have a better credit score, or whatever. Then it might make sense to do this route. So it really depends. You have to kind of look at it. So you have to have a loan officer that can look at both sides or willing to do that, right? Kind of coughed my voice away there. Okay. A veteran and a fiance who intends to get married prior to closing will not be treated as a joint loan. Joint loan. Title must be held as veteran and spouse. So let's pretend you have a person applying who's a veteran and he has a fiance or she has a fiance and they know they're going to get married before the loan closes. Well, then you don't have to look at it as a joint loan. You look at it as a regular VA loan because a regular VA loan is applicable to a veteran and a spouse. So that's how you would structure that deal. So this would not even be in the picture if that's what's going to happen. Now, you have to ask them, when are you planning to get married? And they go, well, I'm not going to get married till next year and we're trying to close next month. Well, then, yeah, that's a joint loan. But if they're saying, well, we plan to get married tomorrow and we're closing next month, I'm like, okay, well, then this is a regular VA loan, right? That's basically what that one point is saying, right? Income strength of the non-veteran cannot compensate for the income weakness of the veteran. Now, what does that mean? I'll give you the most extreme example. You cannot have a veteran with no income and then have them have a spouse that has all the income and qualify. That's not how it works. It has to be uh, at least equal, right? So if the non-veteran is making $5,000 a month, then the veteran themselves needs to be making at least $5,000 a month, and then that makes sense. More than likely, the VA is not going to approve it if the non-veteran spouse or non-veteran borrower, not spouse, but non-veteran borrower is making $5,000 and the veteran is making $5 a month, right? Doesn't make sense. So that's basically what that point means. Okay. All right. VA loan products. So there's a traditional mortgage, the 30, 20, and 15 year. There's a cash out refinance where you can pull up to 100% of your home's equity. Pricing is traditionally higher, anything above 90%. That means, having no equity versus having 10% equity loan to value, right? The EARL, which is IRRRL, and we kind of make fun of people when they don't spell it correctly because it really spells out what it means. Interest rate reduction refinance loan. So the interest rate reduction refinance loan, the EARL, right? The stream is a streamlined refinance, limited documentation, and there's no appraisal required. Okay, which is a really cool, popular product amongst veterans. Okay, the V renovation loans, similar to FHA 203K. If you ever heard of construction loans using the FHA, it's similar to that. It allows the borrower to finance purchase price and home repairs. Must have documentation provided by a licensed contractor. And the interest rates are traditionally higher with this product. Okay, which kind of makes sense. Right? All right. So, does anyone have any questions? I know a few people are actually watching, streaming. All right. So I really appreciate you guys being on this call. The VA home loan is a loan other buyers can only dream of obtaining. You've earned this right by serving our great nation. And it's my job to facilitate your dream of homeownership. So thank you for your service. And again, I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, call me, text me, whatever you like. Here's my information. Here's my cell number, email, and you can go to my website, larrylee.com. And if you forget everything, you can probably search me by typing Larry the Mortgage Guy. You probably find me. I'd make sure of that. If not, Larry the Mortgage Guy Dallas or Larry the Mortgage Guy Texas, and more than likely I'll pop up. Right. But yeah, again, I really appreciate you guys being on this call. If you have any questions, let me know. This is Larry, the Mortgage Guy, your mortgage insider and certified vendor mortgage advisor. Appreciate it. See you guys later. Thanks, Chastity. I appreciate it. See you guys later.